This is Belgium. To be exact, we're in the Ardennes region, about 45 minutes south of Liège. The biggest area of habitation around here is the city of Spa, although there are plenty of other smaller hamlets. The most famous is Francorchamps, a sleepy rural village, farmland, beautiful surroundings and classic Belgian building style. It has a worldwide reputation, of course, due to the racetrack which lies amidst the rural mountain forest. This week, the track hosts the first ever Hankook 12 Hours of Spa-Francorchamps.
We are in Belgium. We are at Spa-Francorchamps for the 5th round of the Touring Car Endurance series. Not only the 5th round, it's also the last round of this series. So it's going to be a very special last race, because yeah, the circuit of Spa-Francorchamps, it really is a legendary circuit.
The drivers are very excited that they can drive on that legendary circuit.
Well, it's fantastic. It's a dream come true, and Eau Rouge is everything that we imagined and much more.
What we like the track? Well, I think everybody loves Spa. Spa is one of the favorite tracks in the world. It's an amazing track, up and down, and always the weather conditions like Nürburgring. We just enjoy to drive here.
This is the last race of the 24-hour Touring Car Series Championship for 2017, and surely there's a chance for an overall victory for Spanish team Monlau. They were second last time out in Barcelona.
Yes, Barcelona was an incredible race for us. Was our home race, so we were really happy of our second place.
The Spanish are not the only ones with a chance of winning the championship. UK-based CWS have their Ginetta in the hunt, but topping the championship right now, though number 154 of QSR Racing School, and as a Belgian team, they have home track advantage. It's a packed schedule here at Spa with more than just the Touring Car Endurance series on the track. We've already seen races for the Hankook 24-hour prototype series, so that meant that on Friday there was only limited time for a short free practice session followed by qualifying.
The timescale here has been very difficult for all the teams. You know, we were here on Friday morning and we had a very small practice session, then straight into qualifying. And it's been very difficult for all the teams. So to get a good setup for the wet, nobody had the chance.
In fact, the free practice ran straight into qualifying. And so one or two drivers had an unexpected qualifying run.
Was a bit weird because we expected a checkered flag between free practice and qualification, and there was no checkered flag, so by accident I made a qualification lap which should have been a free practice lap. And in the end we got new tires and the rain started more heavily, and then we couldn't do a very fast time again.
Qualifying on Friday, we had a slight mishap where Eau Rouge took a bite out of the car with one of the drivers. But after that, no, we were all been good, well behaved, no contact.
The Spa-Francorchamps circuit is unusual in that it has two different pit lanes and two start-finish lines. All the cars and their pit crews are in the new Formula One complex, but we're gridded up on the old start-finish line, which runs downhill towards Eau Rouge.
We just finished the second race of the Proto race series. That is in the other side, in the Formula One pit lane. That's why we're here now at the old part of the Formula One, the old part of the circuit. This is where we have the start grid, but the actual start is on the other side, on the Formula One pit lane.
On the front row, the number 84 of Mercedes-AMG Test Team HTP Motorsport with a brand new AMG GT4.
It's a great track. We like the weather conditions. I think with this new car we're trying to test here, and we hope that the car will last. The endurance test will work out well for us, but we guess if the car stays as it is now in the condition, we have pretty good chances to be up front in the end.
Next to them on the grid is the Seat number 303 of Red Camel Jordans. Rick Breukers is due to do the first stint, but with 2 minutes to go before the start, he's not at the car. Nevertheless, the team has high hopes.
We are happy. I just had a finish of the prototypes when he was first, so he was still on the podium. We're happy to be in the front row, and we have a good car in the rain, so we hope it stays wet. It was an amazing lap Rick pulled out yesterday, and let's see for the race.
And Rick did make it in time to the car. Normally in the Touring Car Endurance Series powered by Hankook, there are 2 warm-up laps before the race. This is a long circuit and there's time constraints to think about too, so just 1 warm-up lap, that will make it very difficult to get heat into the rear tyres of the front-wheel drive cars. What are the race organisers expecting?
Depending also on the weather conditions, because we are at Spa, maybe you can see it, it's a little bit cloudy, they are expecting rain, and in the rain, yeah, the race can be anything. So I think for the teams it's very difficult to decide what to do. Are we going to drive on slicks? Are we going to drive on the rain tires, wet tires? So yeah, everything can happen today, I think.
48 cars come out of the final chicane, and it's time to start the Hankook 12H SPA-FRANCORCHAMPS. From the moment the lights go out on the first ever Hankook 12H SPA-FRANCORCHAMPS, it seems that everyone is eager to make sure they'll be on the podium after the 12 hours of racing. The overall podium might be out of reach for some of the competitors, but there are 5 class podiums to have a crack at, giving everyone something to aim for, regardless of whether you're driving a GT4 Ginetta or a diesel-powered Volkswagen Golf. The 84 of HTP Motorsport, from pole position, is leading the race. 2 identical cars, the number 2 from Black Falcon and the 211 from Uwe Alten Automotive, now second and third. Fourth overall, the first KTM Crossbow in the field.
Well, first laps were quite tough because, you know, you still need to get accounted to the wet conditions. You still need to find the limits, how fast you can go. But afterwards, no, the car is working perfectly by now, and I was okay. I think the car is very good on the wet conditions. We are quite fast on the track, and the Mercedes are much faster on the straight. Still, we are quite fast in the corners, and we are gaining from the speed in the corners.
The SP3 GT4 cars are fighting it out at the head of the field, and plenty of excitement in the TCR class.
Yeah, very exciting, and we're off to a good start. We positioned the car well on quali, and the car was handling actually fantastic. Grip was good, the car was balanced.
The 303 Seat is leaving its TCR competitors behind, but has lost positions to the SP3 GT4 cars that are now leading the race.
Well, the start was quite difficult because I had all the GT4s around me, which are a lot faster on the straight, so at the start everyone just passed me on the straight straight away. After that, I think the pace was good. We were leading the TCR class. Then when we had the first stop, I went out again with new tires. I did the fastest time overall.
In the A2 class, the 185 Dan Agro Racing Renault has dropped away from the rest of the field.
Our first driver had to have a few laps before he get into the track to make sure he not make any spin. And it took a little time to get for him to learn the track. So, but after that, after half an hour, he get the speed, and we could do the same lap times as our competitors.
We had a really good start from P14 to P8, I think. Unfortunately, we had some trouble with the engine. We had emergency program, and we had to restart the car while running. And that happened every time, every lap. And it was not good to drive. We lost a lot of time during that, and then we decided to go to the pit and have a look at it and try to find and figure out what's the problem. And we had to pit for 20 minutes, I think, and lost a lot of positions during that.
We started having some issues with the turbo, and we started losing the turbo and hence a lot of power. And it required replacement of the wastegate. And then we went out there, but then it recurred again. So we haven't replaced anything, and we seem to be able to reset the car, but every few laps we're having the same problem.
Still quite early in the race, cars coming into the pits for systems checks. Could be the wet conditions that are causing these problems.
Yeah, conditions are bad, but you always expect it to be raining in Spa at some time. So yeah, we planned for it to be raining, yeah.
Much bigger issues for the 164 of Bastuk Motorsport into the pits with engine problems, and that engine's going to need replacing. Looks like they'll have to wait until the morning to get back in the race. The 84 AMG Mercedes GT4 led early on by a good margin. After the first hour, it's 46th out of the 48 cars and has only completed 14 laps.
We had an issue with the alternator belt in the first part of the race, so we had to stop quite long. So we fixed the problem, but it took quite a lot of time, and we lost like 45 minutes in the pit, so it's a bit too much.
60 minutes of racing in the Ardennes Forest is completed, and here's how it stands. The RTR Project's KTM Crossbow has found good pace and has held the overall lead for the last 9 laps. Second and third, 2 Mercedes AMG GT4s. Black Falcon holds second position. Third place, the 211 of Uwe Alten Automotive. From 4th position down are the TCR class cars. Red Camels Jordan leading their category. Finnish team LMS Racing just 3 seconds behind. Third, the 107 of Spanish team Monlau. The whole top 8 on the same lap. In Cup 1, the top 5 are on the lead lap. 152 Zorg Rennsport leading. 192 of JJ Motorsport second. And the 154 of QSR Racing School third. Just 1 hour of the 12 is completed, and already we've had plenty of drama at Spa. The Spa-Francorchamps circuit has a long history. Originally opened in 1921, it was a 14-kilometre road track that led to Malmedy and Stavalo. In 1979, more of it became purpose-built and it was reduced to 7 kilometres long. But it wasn't till 2000 that the track was closed completely to normal traffic. But through all the revisions and changes, the track still holds the characteristics of that 1921 circuit that made it famous and feared.
Oh, it's a really awesome circuit, and 2 of our drivers haven't been here one hasn't ever been here and the other hasn't been here for a long time, so it's a steep learning curve for them with only 60 minutes time in free practice and qualifying, so they're learning the track now.
Yeah, I think it's a great track, but I have only drive 4 laps in the training.
Spa is the best track in the world. I did many tracks. It's our home track, and I can understand why F1 drivers call it the most beautiful track in the world.
This track is known worldwide for its legendary corners.
Eau Rouge is incredible. I mean, watching it on TV just doesn't do justice. So, yeah, I absolutely enjoyed the last stint, and I think I'm going to be back for sure. For sure, I love the track.
So, what makes Eau Rouge and the following Radion so special?
It's special because you go down with full throttle and then just go up to the hill. It's really, you can feel in the seat, you're just getting down in the seat.
And always important at Spa is the weather.
Yeah, it's the first year for me, first time I've ever been here, but everyone says this is Spa, you know, it'll rain, it'll sun, it'll do it all, and even do it in different parts of the track, so yeah, it's just part of the challenge.
I enjoyed every minute of it. This is fun. This is my dream. On my bucket list. I finally made it here, first time.
1 hour down, 11 to go. Plenty of teams have already been into the pit lane. A few cars still out on track are tackling their gremlins too.
But we had a couple of mechanical issues. A fuse in the car kept on blowing, and a relay inside kept cutting the engine out, so we lost some time. And Patrick then beached it on because he hit this water coming across the track and then couldn't get the car off, so we lost 2 laps there.
The 178 Ginetta is pushed back onto the track by the circuit marshals to get back into the race. There's a battle for the 6th and 7th positions in the TCR class. They'd been losing 5 seconds per lap on the class leader, but that might all change now that the track is drying up.
It's pretty tough out there. Obviously the strategy, and each car has its positives and negatives, and so the KTM's very kind on its tyres, so when it started to dry they had a bit of an advantage, but obviously in the very wet conditions right at the start we were very strong.
As the track dries up, the decision has to be made to go to slick tyres, but changing tyres costs time, and that's hard to make up out on the circuit.
I mean, we lost some time, yes, but as we had a problem before, it was not a call which was very important for us. So it was a good test also to see how the car behaves on damp condition with slicks.
With a partly wet and partly dry track, it's difficult to stay on the circuit. Some of the offs are just driver errors. Sometimes it's a problem with the car.
Le pneu avant gauche a crevé. Malheureusement, la voiture a tiré.
At the front of the Radion, he loses pressure in this wheel, and the car goes straight on in the wall. The car will be repaired for tomorrow.
So the team will return to the track?
Oui, of course.
Passion is still there.
With the changing track conditions, tyre choice is now crucial. It's not uncommon here at Spa.
It was a mess almost. The people are going out with slicks, others are with wet tires. I went out with wet. We were lucky with the strategy. I saw a lot of dry lines, but I couldn't stay on them. But thank God it started raining again, and I could pick up my pace and keep the first position until now.
The Cup 1 BMW of Duo Racing is slow on track. It continues after a restart, but has to come into the pits.
I think so. It's the turbocharger. But I go off the tank, retirement, then the engine not go off.
This car will only do one more lap in this part of the race. The number 105 is not where he should be.
My teammate went off on the first corner. Our radio wasn't working, and then we had to show him the pit board. And he was a little confused because it's his first endurance event. I think it's his first Creventic event, so he is not really used to it. I think he was just getting into the groove, and then when he saw the pit board, I think he missed his braking points, went straight.
As in all the races for the 24-hour Touring Car Endurance Series powered by Hankook, there's a Panther fuel station. The Lotus Evora of Core Oyster Racing didn't reach the fuel station in time, though.
We ran out of fuel. You know, we had a calculation, but the dashboard issue, the dashboard went red. And the drivers we had, it was the first time in the car, so they never reported that the dashboard was red. The moment I said, if the dashboard gets red, you have to refuel. He said it's red from lap 5 on, so what was the point? And then he stopped on the track. So we just need another 300 meters, you know, but it cost us 6 laps.
Championship hopefuls Monlau use the code 60 to get the car into the pit lane for repairs.
Well, we have some troubles about the drive shaft. Okay, one of the was leaking some gas in the drive shaft. So for us, it was better to use one code 60 to don't lose a lot of time. But the code 60 was too short, and then we lost around 3 laps.
It's back to full wet racing conditions.
The conditions have been horrid. But I never thought I would say this, but I really enjoyed it. I'm not really a big fan of wet conditions, but I actually thoroughly enjoyed it. I think I'm finding like a new side to myself in terms of driving preferences.
When it was dry lines, there's these fast cars, the TCRs, and I think a KTM, they were passing by. When it started raining, I mean, I started passing them easily, so that was strange. Yeah, that was really strange.
And in these difficult conditions, we're getting close to the end of the first part of the race. The last lap board is out.
The leader of the overall race has to overtake our class leader, but that means that our class leader also finishes behind the overall leader, and that means that we will finish in the same lap as the class leader. So in this case, we will start tomorrow in the same lap. If it doesn't happen, then tomorrow our competitor has a lap in front of us.
Just before 6 in the evening, the finish flag drops to end the first part of the race. Parc Fermé is on the grid, and teams are not allowed to work on the car. The cars will stay on track before the engines are started again at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. The only time the engineers are allowed to touch the cars is when they push the cars into their starting position for the next part of the race.
And when the guys pushed it into position is when they noticed that there was something scrubbing. And then we figured out that the front splitter was actually impeding the movement of the front wheel. So, you know, it's really unfortunate. If you look at the car from the outside, it looked perfect. I mean, you wouldn't even know. But then when we pulled it into the pits, it was almost close to an hour and a half's work.
Any cars in the pits now being worked on will get a 10-lap penalty when we restart. The 221 KTM Crossbow of RTR Project are back in the lead. The Mercedes number 2 of Black Falcon did hold the overall top position for 14 laps, now back in second, and it's the 119 of LMS, third overall. In A3, the top 3 are all on the same lap. The 99 Honda RKC TGM car is leading. After problems, the Synchro number 176 have fought back to second, and the BMW of German wheels, the number 132, is in third. The A2 class is a little more fractured with none of the leaders on the same lap. Team Sally Racing number 52 has a lap over the second place 191 of Heli Racing. The 221 of HTM Racing is third, another lap further back. Well, we've had a checkered flag, but we're still in the middle of the race.
Behind me, you can see the Parc Fermé. Part 1 of the race just ended. we raced 3 hours and 5 minutes. Tomorrow we will do the rest because after 6 o'clock, because of the noise regulations, yeah, we have to stop. We aren't allowed to make any noise.
Not all of the cars are in Parc Fermé. Some teams have worked overnight to repair their cars.
Yeah, some teams decided to go back to the pit. They have time to work at the car. Okay, they have a 10-lap penalty for that, but then they are sure that the car will work.
Bashduk Motorsport is one of the teams that have been working hard. Their number 164 had engine problems in the first hour of the race.
We're not really sure what the problem is exactly. We have a temperature problem. Yesterday we have a 125 degrees on water temperature. We must check the engine in the workshop exactly what has happened. But yeah, we have changed a complete engine yesterday evening, and yeah, now with a new engine we start again.
We had a turbo failure. Turbo was broken. So we have changing turbo at this night and we can restart with a 10-lap penalty.
And as we're starting early in the morning, most drivers have gone to bed early too. Most drivers.
Yesterday we very much enjoyed the one of the local Belgium favorites, Leffe Blonde. And my buddy said, well, one more, and I said, that was my mistake, no, because he could stay in bed, and I said, and in the end I drank one too many. And I had to get up at 7 o'clock this morning, be on the grid at 9 o'clock starting the race.
So what can we expect for the second leg of the race?
We actually go for the top 3 in A2. It should be possible because our pit strategy is quite good at the moment.
This is my first stint, so I'm fresh guy, fresh driver at the moment. You know, it's very exciting. Of course, it will be hard because the weather can change quite quickly, as we saw also yesterday. So we expect it's a long 9 hours. But I have driven here not a lot, but few times. So I love the track, and let's see how it is.
Yeah, again, weather conditions will be very important. It's very tight. Everything is very tight. I expect again a lot of battles in all the classes. The starting order now is that they all are back to the class again. Yeah, it will. I expect a really great race.
The green flag is waving for the start of the warm-up lap, but the 221 KTM Crossbow is not moving from its grid position. It takes a lot of effort to get the car to move at all. And the 221, not the only car with this problem. The 223 sister car having the same issue.
No function the gas, no fuel, can't push, just a little bit RPM, just low, just 1500 up RPM. We can go to the hill, so we can to stop downhill before the Eau Rouge and go to box and change the issue.
Both KTMs from RTR unable to reach the start line. For everyone else, it's the start of the second part of the Hankook 12 Hours of Spa-Francorchamps. The lights are out. The teams are racing again towards the first corner. The 303 Seat of Red Camel Jordan is having a great start, taking second position on the road. Adam Christodoulou's in the number 2 Mercedes. He takes an early lead, partly thanks to the RTR KTM Crossbows not being able to start.
It's a bit of a disappointment because, of course, as a driver, you want to be fighting in a battle, and so, and of course, you want to be racing against your competitors. So it's a bit of a shame that they didn't start, but I could see that the other Mercedes were behind, and we were all pushing.
You have to find the try line. Every lap you're looking for the best line you can have. And yeah, like that, I like the conditions like that. So I had a lot of fun outside. And yeah, Spa is always fun. So it means all the stint was with a nice car and a nice track. So what do you want more?
Many cars have aerodynamic devices or spoilers on their car to produce more downforce. But the VW Golf of HTM Racing has perhaps a little too much drag.
The back door was open and I didn't know. I didn't know. And they told me on the radio, your back door is open, but I thought it just opens a bit, so it's not locked. But when I came in, I understand that my back door was completely open, and I've got a lot of air in the car, yes.
Finally, the cars for whom starting this morning wasn't that easy are also joining the track. The 108 Audi is facing in the wrong direction. Is that a technical problem?
No, I was just carrying too much speed, full stop. I'd run out of talent.
I was carrying too much speed at the end of the straight and just got a bit sideways. Aborted rather than hit the barrier, into first gear and set off again.
This race has 5 different classes sharing the track at the same time. That gives us plenty of battles to look at and plenty of enjoyment for the drivers.
Lots of good battles. Just from the start, there was a good group of about 5 or 6 of us with the Cup cars, A3 cars and the Clios. Throughout that group for 5, 6, maybe even 7 laps, we had good battles, lots of overtaking each other.
Unexpected debris on the track.
2 Seat TCR in front of me that hit each other, and then some carbon pieces went into my car and destroyed the splitter in front and some kind of turbo hose. So we lost pressure there.
An incident to the NKKP Racing Seat caused the debris.
And he tried to outbrake me, but he couldn't outbrake me. So he used my car to brake, which cost me my lovely, lovely left behind, which is actually signed by Mondrian. So it's a collector's item, which is left behind on the track in bus stop.
Brave work by a marshal who clears the track. It's thanks to the efforts of these volunteers that racing is possible at all. Kurt Oyser enjoying his time on track.
My stint was perfect. I think the first lap I took 15 cars or so. It was fantastic. The car was working so well. And we're doing absolutely top 3 lap times all the time in my stints. Even on tyres which were 3-4 hours old.
The changing weather conditions at Spa make racing very interesting.
Conditions are changing all the time. As the rain abates, then we get more speed. But then the tyres wear out quicker. The rain comes back, we wear the tyres out slower, but the car goes slower. So it's going to be a management, but it's the same for everybody.
Yeah, for me it's better something between wet track, but not too much water. When coming more water, I have a little bit problem, but not much.
A new leader in the A3 class, the 187 of United Project Motorsport.
Well, we had P1 in, I think, for about 30 seconds or something like that, and then the gearbox had a failure. So we had to put the car into the pit box and work on it for about an hour or so. So now we're last in the class. So from P1 to P last in 30 seconds.
Henrik Sorensen has finished his 2-hour-long stint, coming in 3rd in class. Can the team hold on till the end?
Everything can happen. We can have a damage out there. Some of the other cars can also have a damage. You never know.
2 hours of racing today have been completed, so here's the standings at the end of 5 hours of the 12. It's the number 2 of Black Falcon, the only SP3 GT4 car left in the top 6. Second, the 303 Red Camel Seat, and the Holmgard Motorsport Seat number 102 is in 3rd. In SP3 GT4, the overall race leader, the number 2 Mercedes, is leading. The 211 of Uwe Alsen, 2 laps down on the class leader. 3rd, and still fighting for the championship, the Ginetta GT4 number 178 from CWS. The top 4 in the TCR class are all on the same lap. Red Camel 303 first, Holmgard 102 second, just ahead of the 216 Modena in 3rd and LMS 4th. There's plenty of racing still to come at Spa and championships to be decided. Among a varied field of competitors this weekend here at Spa are regular championship drivers who do every event, and there are some drivers who are in the championship for the first time. So how did the drivers find out about this FIA-approved series?
I think we all followed the series before. Dubai is always the first race on the calendar, so every motorsport interested person, I think, tunes into that. So just racing that was a great experience, and then we wanted to try it out for ourselves in our own team.
And that's often how it works. As a driver, you find a team to join, even if you're traveling all the way from Qatar.
The 24 Hours Touring Car Series, it's an international series. So they came to us via the internet. They see, okay, the M235i, it's a nice cup class within the Touring Car Series. And this is how we made this all happen this weekend. They are definitely happy, and they are already now seeing if they can come back with us next year.
The series organisers create affordable and enjoyable races, but there's something about endurance racing that really builds a team spirit.
It's a team effort to win. The drivers do not do anything on their own. And that's what I like about 24-hour racing, long-distance racing.
I like the fact that it's more than only speed. It's tactics. It's a whole weekend. I like the social part of it because you go out with the team in the night. You have dinner with your team. You have breakfast with your team. Then you race with your team, and it's more a big social thing.
It's a team winning. It's not only the drivers, it's also the fuel guys, the guys who change the tires, the guy in the kitchen, and in the end, it's a better feeling.
Most want to return.
We will come back next year at the 12 hours of Spa, and I hope they organize somehow a 24 hours of Spa in this series.
Still 7 hours before we'll know who'll win this last leg of the Touring Car Endurance Championship for 2017. The 154 team has to keep the faith though. After problems yesterday, they've had a good run this morning, but now electrical problems have forced the 154 QSR racing car into the pits. It'll cost them half an hour on repairs. The wet weather is causing visibility problems inside the car.
Very wet. It's the conditions. And the windows, I cannot look out, were very heavy.
We've got a heated window, so I don't need any kind of circulation. I just push a button, and then my window gets clean.
The 217 has already been in the pits a few times, but now stopping every lap at the first corner.
Yeah, well, that was the safest place to stop and to do that to do the reset procedure. We have some kind of gremlins in the car, electronic problems. So after 3 or 4 laps, the car keeps shutting down with a massive loss of power, and then you have to stop the car, reset everything, put it back on again, and then it restarts. But it restarts only for 2 or 3 laps, and then it stops again.
Something not quite right with the 125 NKKP Seat. Harry Hilders is not able to match the times put in by his teammate Guy Bessem, and normally their times are pretty close.
We decided when I came in to keep the rain tires in the rear, and in the front we changed them into slicks, and that was a bad decision because slicks wasn't the right choice, and especially not slicks in front and rain tires in the rear. That's the most bad choice we've made. Lost us 10 seconds slower than our competitors.
Just out the car, Anthony Lambert is in the pit garage. But this is a garage unlike any other.
We rent a box only for people who come to see us. There is a little party. Some supporters from the team, sponsors, are here to watch the race, and we organized that with Pascal.
Outside, the weather conditions are getting worse.
When you feel good, you try to go more farther, and break on the last moment. And at Les Combes, one time it was too late. Yes, I have to make a little out of track, but it was no problem.
I was cheerful earlier on. When the sun came out, it was absolutely beautiful. Car was really fast. It was great to drive it here. Then it started to rain again, so, yeah.
Well, there are more that don't like the rain. The Synchro team have decided to do their driver change not in the pit lane, but in the garage.
Yeah, we felt it was worth taking an extra 10 seconds or so to clean the inside of the car and get any water out, and then hopefully gain that in lap times when we get back out. So yeah, we made that decision, and rightly or wrongly, but it's better to be safe than sorry.
Most of the cars that changed to slicks earlier have gone back out on Hankook rain tyres, but not all of them.
Yeah, it was my team manager's decision to go on slicks. At the beginning it worked out quite well, but when it started raining we couldn't pit because it would disturb our strategy. We stayed out until it wasn't possible anymore, and I think it was quite crazy in the rain on the end on the slick. It was really, really dangerous.
Rick Breukers in for the tyre change, but he stays in the car as the second driver's not ready.
We decided to make a picture before the race, and I hadn't had my underwear yet. And just before going into the car, I realized I had no underwear, so I had to put it on. It was not good for us, our strategy. It has cost time. We hope it will not affect the total outcome.
The Modena 216 Seat has water coming inside the car.
Yeah, we seem to have water coming into the car. I mean, it's not an issue really. I don't know where it's coming from. There's a bit, water dripping into the car. But yeah, it's no problem.
Søren Jansen in the 185 Renault Clio has been off track.
A little too fast, and then it was very strange to see in again, and then the car started to sliding and hit the wall. So, but we have broken this front suspension, but they changed it, and I think we will be finished in five minutes, and then we'll track again. And the driver is okay, so that's the most important.
It's not just driver error that causes problems in the rain.
We apparently we have an electrical problem. I think due to humidity that one of the cables to the current of the machine of the car is flowing. I don't know what's happening. They're looking what the problem is.
No SP3 GT4s in the top 5. So it's the Kawasaki Power Baz Kutin entry leading, 12 seconds behind. In second, the Red Camel 303. A lap down in third, another Baz Kutin entry, the 119 of LMS Racing. The Cup 1 class has opened up too, with none of the BMW M235s on the same lap. The class leader is the JJ Motorsport 192. They have a 2-lap gap over the second position, 152 of Zorg Rennsport. A further lap back in third, the 162 of Gamsys Motorsport. In A2, the leader is still Team Sally Racing. One more lap than the Golf 222 from HTM Racing. Dan Agro, number 185 in third. This is the last race of the season for TCE Series competitors. Next month at COTA in the United States, there will be a race where the touring cars are welcome. After that, we're looking forward to the 2018 season, and the calendar for that was announced today.
Yes, during the live broadcast, we announced our new calendar for 2018 today. We not only announced the new calendar, but also we announced some change in the regulations for next year. And I think that's very positive because it makes it more racing for the teams and the drivers.
As well as the calendar, changes in regulations announced today as well. The most important of which is that the balance of performance will now not limit the speed that the drivers can lap, so the minimum reference time is now a thing of the past. As we look at the calendar, we see that the 24-hour Touring Car Endurance Series and the 24-hour Proto Series each have their own schedules. The 24-hour GT Series in the middle will drive with one of the other races. As we look at the schedules, one thing to notice is that all of the series have 2 championships. A 3-race championship of the continents to be held in Asia in Dubai, in Europe at the Portimao race, and for the Americas it's the race at COTA in Austin, Texas. In the TCE European Championship, the races are at Silverstone, Imola, Portimao, Barcelona, and back here at Spa for the final race of 2018. The 24-hour GT Series will have the same races for their Championship of the Continents, whilst their European events are at Silverstone, Navarra, Imola, Portimao, Barcelona, and also here at Spa. The 24-hour Proto Series have their Dubai, Portimao and COTA races for the Championship of the Continents. The European rounds for the prototype cars will be at Silverstone, Navarra and Portimao.
We saw the calendar being published today, and it's really looking great for 2018, yes. I mean, I think they really listened to the teams, and they took this into account to 2018 calendar, so we are more than happy to see what has been presented today.
Next season, I hope I will be there.
On board with Søren Jansen, and if we slow the pictures down, you can see the 239 Ginetta in the barriers.
Yeah, because I was overtaken by one of the very fast Mercedes, and I thought if he can, then I can too, and I could not. So that's it.
Thomas Miniberger had his first lap on this track in the last stint yesterday, now ready to rejoin the race.
Yeah, I'm happy, because I like wet track but not heavy rain. It is my first experience with Spa. It is very famous and very nice track, especially Eau Rouge. Yes, I like it.
Looks like the track is still wet enough for Thomas to enjoy it. The 107 of Monlau competition having more luck today than they had yesterday.
Yesterday we had a problem with the car, but today we are trying to get better in better positions and try to fight for the championship.
What are the team's tactics?
Now is to keep the car as much as possible into the track. Okay, try to use the Code 60s as much as possible. Okay, to to gain more time into the track and don't lose too much time into the box, and don't take any risk.
Damage brings the number 2 Mercedes AMG GT4 to the pits.
We're leading the race with a really good pace. Unfortunately, some car didn't saw the blue flags and make some damage into our car. It was a quick repair. We could repair it pretty quick. And then with all the play with the rain, dry rain, slicks, we were quite good in the choice of tires. So we are back now. We have also penalty from this morning that we took. So yeah, everything puts us a little bit down, but we are chasing back to try to be in the podium.
5 different classes on track at the same time, divided by their difference in performance. That means there's always plenty of overtaking, but when you're in a group with the same category of cars, well, then the fun really starts.
Actually, yes, with the M3, the white one, I forgot the number, and the orange one as well. It's the old ones, and yeah, we had a good battle fight, very gentle race. People they respect each other. It was good. It was getting position back, get it back and again, having fun. It was good. I really like it.
Accidents do happen, of course. Thankfully, most of the contact are almost too small to even mention.
Yeah, it was a Seat Cup that hit me. He tried to get in very tight in the corner, so I don't think it was anybody's mistake. So it was just sport.
Chantal Kroll is in the garage, one of the drivers from Team Hoffa Racing. Now, they don't compete in the touring car series. They're in the Creventic organised GT Endurance series. And the reason that Chantal is here this weekend is when we finish this race, the circuit will host the end-of-year party with the award ceremony of both FIA-approved series championships. We'll have more on that in our end-of-year compilation programme. 3 hours to go. Here's a last look at the intermediate standings. The TCR leader, the 303 of Red Camel, leads overall. The SP3 GT4 leader, the Uwe Alsa Mercedes, is in second position, although in the pit lane. The Modena 216 Seat TCR is in third overall. The A3 class leader is the 132 of German Wheels. They head into the last 3 hours with a 2-lap lead over the 176 of Synchro Motorsport. The 99 of RKS TGM in third position and on the same lap as Synchro. In the TCR category, tremendously competitive class. Red Camel, Modena and LMS still have to race right on the limit if they want to keep their podium positions. 3 hours to go. Any of the top 9 still in with a chance to win this inaugural race at Spa-Francorchamps. Nine hours completed, less than 3 hours to go. What do we expect?
As it stands now, a podium. We don't know what the other guys are looking like at pit stop. I think the whole top 4 is very close. So you know, it's a win is on the card, podium, but also 4th. I mean, everything can happen, especially in these conditions. And yeah, we don't know where people are standing with the fuel strategy.
We were on second place in Class A2, so the car on the third position is 8 laps behind us. So maybe we're gonna come and go to second place again, but we don't know. We have to look first.
But for now, it's not the future that counts. In the last couple of minutes, the rain has intensified. A code 60 has been called, and many teams have called their cars into the pits. Using a code 60 wisely can sometimes win you the race, especially when the field is as close as it is here. The code 60 is related to the Core-Oyster Lotus Evora.
We got hit by a Mercedes GT4, unfortunately on the right rear, and half an hour later the shaft broke. So I think we broke the let's say the carcass of the CV joint.
And as one code 60 is lifted, a new code 60 is deployed. Fortunately, Benny Simonson in the 216 Seat has kept his concentration. He doesn't complete his overtake on the QSR Racing School BMW. Not everyone was able to prevent overtaking though.
I was driving, suddenly it was code 60, and a BMW, he braked immediately. I almost touched him, and I overtook him, and then I go slow 30, hoping that he could overtake me back, but he didn't.
The RTR number 223 has crashed just before the final chicane. Thomas Miniberger was almost finished in his stint, but now, with just over 2.5 hours before the finishing flag, the race has finished early for this KTM crossbow. Before the code 60 could be lifted, Ahmed Al-Mohanadi in the Kinetic Racing number 142 has stopped at exactly the same place on track. the drivers struggling to keep their cars between the white lines of the track. But the falling water onto the windscreens isn't the only issue.
The standing water and also the running water coming across the track was pretty dodgy, and a few times out there was a lock-up of my wheels. I couldn't then release them, they wouldn't rotate again to get any grip. And I was on the radio saying this, if it carries on like this, quite possibly it was going to happen.
The conditions, as you see now, it's changing. It can be really heavy rain to just a little bit of rain, or getting dry, so you need to adapt a lot your driving to the conditions, and you need to feel the car as much as you can, really easy, try to get a feeling. So I need to go, it's coming in.
This is the most rain we've seen in any race, but no matter how wet it is, there's always somebody that wants to cut the grass.
I was in the corner before Blanchimont, and then very unusual. It was a snap from behind, and I got 1 or 2 meters outside. There was no grip, and I went off track, and I had to go to the grass. I was thinking it was the end of the race, but I managed to get it back on track, and then I went up Eau Rouge, and then the temperature went up to 125 degrees. So I thought the radiator was broken. Then we came in, and it was only the grass which was blocking the airflow.
But Ivo wasn't the only one. There were more drivers having problems staying on the circuit. However, you might not expect this reaction.
I have fun! Whoa, it was fun. And then when I turn in, I hit a little water on the curve, then just goes like this, and all of a sudden, I don't know why, but anyway, it happened, so.
Several Code 60s are required to get cars pulled back onto the track safely. More problems for the 142 Seat of Kinetic Racing in the back of the picture. Once again, it needs help to get back to the pit lane.
Yeah, after 10 hours, I think the car was not going to make it. I don't know, I think so. I think the car was not going to make it to the end.
And this would be the last time the car would be pushed into the pits.
Yes, the race continues, but we don't. Unfortunately, we have lost fuel pressure. The low pressure fuel pump has gone, so we've had to retire the car.
So what's the plan?
Go to the bar, drink some Belgian beer, and enjoy the nightlife.
With the rain having passed over, you'd hope the weather-related problems would be over. And that's not the case.
At the back, there's a lot of areas where there's water floods across, and it comes across about 5 or 10 minutes after it's rained. And so you've got to remember where it comes across the track, so when you hit it, you can go through it and not spin out.
The series organisers Creventic place a high value on driver and team enjoyment, but never compromising on safety. Race control mandate a driver change for Modena.
We got a contact with another car, and so the race director actually called the driver because he think it was quite dangerous, and he want to have his command. He wants the driver command. He think it's too dangerous, so he don't want to let him continue on the track because they are worried he do that again to another driver, so that's why.
As the time ticks towards 6 o'clock in the evening, the leader is the 303 of Red Camel, but the 119 LMS team are not too far away. Close to the finishing flag, but still no let-up in the pace.
I had to take some risk to stay in front and to keep the gap, so I gave everything I could.
Right throughout the race and right throughout the field, teams have been defending or fighting to gain positions with their competitors.
Yeah, it was, I mean, every time when you come in and you change driver, you change tires, or you go for the refueling station, you're like playing like 1-2, 1-2, 1-2. It was yesterday, today, it was the whole time, it was like that.
The fortunate few have a bigger gap to their competition and can now ease their pace.
I have not in the last full power drive. I have 2 laps. I was 2 laps before, and we go